We're going to continue on with electrical wiring unit. The first part was for setting up and getting the students started with learning the basics on electrical wiring, receptacles and switches. Well, now we're going to go on to the trades units, the ones that actually have the drywall and the electrical boxes put in place. And here the students get to put on an electrical switch, which controls a light fixture, which is what we're just preparing right here. And they can also put on a couple of plugs or receptacles. So the idea is that the students would be able to start by stripping the appropriate amount of wire, approximately 3/4 of an inch to an inch, to then attach to the electrical fixture. Now you may have to use a little stepping stool for these students to reach up to the top of the ceiling here, and it's good to have each student be able to do one of the electrical boxes on the trades unit, because they can put the whole unit together and we can test and see if the switch activates the light, and maybe you might even want to put another switch in that activates a receptacle with a plug-in light fixture. So the idea is that the student would bare the wire, make a nice little curve in it, and then as you tighten up the screw, it self-tightens the wire into the fixture. And notice that the black, which is hot, it goes to the dark color or copper color, and the white goes to silver. And lots of times you take a pair of needle nose pliers and just sort of tighten the loop around the screw. And this is for good electrical wiring practices, so that they can't possibly become disconnected, which could cause a short circuit. And then there's a grounding screw in the plate inside the fixture, which is what your grounding wire would fit to. So that's what each student would get a chance to do, but I'd recommend that they do the trial unit before. Now notice the size of this light bulb. It's a 12-volt light bulb, and it is special only for 12 volts. If you put 120 volts to it, it would blow up. So now we're going to put on make a change to an extension cord. This is a really valuable skill for students to be able to change an electrical cord. So first of all, they need to take the connector apart and take a look inside it. And you should make sure that all of the connectors have the parts, because after the students finish, sometimes there's 2 or 3 different parts to the plug, and they don't all match. So there's different types in each set of tools and parts. So notice there's 3 different plugs, so there's going to be 3 different wires, and just like on your house wiring unit, we have 3 wires. The only difference is instead of the bare copper wire, we actually have a green coated or insulated wire, and that's the ground wire. So what I'm doing here is just measuring the length of the protective outer shield to the right length. If it's too long, then the wires are going to be exposed out the back side of the plug, and that's not acceptable. So I'm just scoring the plastic. Be careful not to cut too deep, otherwise you'll cut into the wire insulation, and that's not a good thing either. We will only be testing with 12 volts, so it's not detrimental. And you have to strip about 1/4 of an inch of bare wire. So instead of the solid wire, this is multi-strand wire. And multi-strand wire, we're not going to curve into the little circular technique we did when we did a light fixture or receptacles. And we slide the back part of the plug down the wire. If you forget to do this, sometimes you have to take the component apart again, and this is the best way to learn, is sometimes through your mistakes. So I've just bared each wire. I've twisted it a little bit to keep them together from fraying. We need to look at the plug itself and go which one goes to which screw. And the green one is the ground, it goes to the green screw. The black one is the hot one, that's the one that carries the current initially, and it goes to brass. So I always go dark is like brass and white is like silver. And so then you just place the wire in a little slot. There's a little metal piece that slides down and grips the copper wire, and this needs to be tightened quite firmly, because sometimes people yank on the wire of an extension cord, and that sometimes pulls the wire out of that connection, and that's why they don't work or they break. By taking one apart and putting it back together is a good way to learn what to do. So you're just going to finish up the wire, and at the end, if one student put the male end on and the other student put the female on, you could actually make a little connection wire to the 12-volt light and connect it to a light fixture and see if it works. And so every student should do an extension cord. They should wire one of the components into the trades unit, and they should all do at least one or two light switches or receptacles on the mock-up wall beside it. And the idea is to keep the students busy, keep them engaged with tools, and so you have to pace them, and so you'll probably be showing them and preparing materials. At the end of this session, before they leave, you might have them also clean up what they've created. That's electrical wiring.